Welcome to the Sleep to Dream Analytics Explainer video, where better sleep starts with better understanding.
All right, today we're putting on our detective hats. We're going to dive into the methodical investigation that doctors use whenever someone comes to them with a sleep problem. It's all about cracking the case.
You know how it is, right? One night you're out like a light, the next you're just staring at the ceiling for hours. It can feel so random, confusing, and honestly, pretty frustrating. But what if there was a way to actually make sense of it all?
Well, that's exactly what we're talking about. For sleep specialists, your mysterious sleep isn't really a random puzzle. Nope, it's a case to be solved. And believe me, they have a very clear, step-by-step process for cracking it. So the first thing any good sleep detective does is categorize the complaint. And it turns out most sleep issues fall into one of three main categories.
That's right, just three. And this initial step, just figuring out which bucket the problem falls into, is the first major breakthrough in any sleep investigation.
So the two most common complaints are basically polar opposites. On one hand, you've got insomnia, that classic struggle to get enough sleep, the 3 a.m. staring contest with the ceiling. And on the other hand, there's excessive daytime sleepiness, where you just can't stay awake, and it's constantly intruding on your life, like dozing off at your desk by 3 p.m.
The third category is a bit different. It covers all the abnormal stuff that happens during sleep. We're talking about things like sleepwalking, acting out your dreams, or even intense leg cramps. And the tricky part is, because you're asleep when these things happen, you're often completely unaware. This makes an eyewitness, like a bed partner, an absolutely crucial source of clues. Let's just zoom in on that sleepiness case for a second. This is not just feeling a bit tired. We're talking about an overwhelming need to sleep that can mess with your memory, your concentration, and can even lead to dangerous accidents. And what's really interesting is that the symptoms can look different depending on your age. In kids, for example, it can actually show up as hyperactivity. Wild, right? So, once the main complaint is identified, the real detective work begins. And the single most important source of evidence? Well, it's you, the patient. Your story holds almost all of the clues.
The investigation always starts by getting a baseline. A doctor will ask these very specific questions to build a really clear picture of your routine. Are you consistent? Are there huge differences between your work week and your weekend? This is all about finding the patterns. Okay, the next set of clues appears the moment you wake up. Morning symptoms can be incredibly revealing. For example, consistently waking up with a dry mouth and a headache? That's a classic signpost pointing directly toward obstructive sleep apnea, a condition where your airway repeatedly closes on you while you sleep.
Next, the focus shifts to the consequences. How is your sleep, or lack of it, affecting your day-to-day life? The answers here help figure out just how severe the problem is. A report of falling asleep while driving, for example, makes the case extremely urgent.
You can't be a witness to your own sleep. I mean, it's impossible, right? That's why testimony from a bed partner is just invaluable. They're the only ones who can report on critical clues like how loud you're snoring, any pauses in breathing, or repetitive leg movements, all of which are key pieces of the puzzle. So after figuring out what's happening during your nights and days, the investigation kind of zooms out. It's time to run a background check on other factors in your life that could be the hidden cause. And this is a big one. A huge variety of substances can disrupt your sleep. And it's not just about prescriptions. We're talking over-the-counter medications, herbal supplements. They can all play a role. A thorough review of everything you take is absolutely essential.
Did your dad snore loudly? Does your sister have restless leg syndrome? You know, these aren't random questions. A lot of sleep disorders run in families. So a family history of issues like narcolepsy, which affects the brain's ability to control sleep-wake cycles, is a major clue that can help narrow down the diagnosis.
And of course, there are our daily habits. That evening glass of wine, the afternoon coffee, or smoking. All of these can either directly cause insomnia or make underlying conditions like sleep apnea way, way worse. They are often key contributing factors.
So with all the historical evidence collected, it's time for the final step in the data gathering phase, looking for physical clues on the body itself.
A doctor will perform a really targeted exam. They'll look at the structure of your airway in your head and neck, listen to your chest for signs of asthma, check your heart for any strain, and perform a neurologic exam just to rule out other conditions that could be causing all this sleep disruption.
Okay, so the detective has gathered all the evidence. The main complaint, the daily habits, the medical history, and the physical exam. Now it's time to put it all together and finally solve the case.
And here it is, the core takeaway, the clinical pearl from our source material. More often than not, the answer isn't found in some fancy test. It's found in the story.
And that's so empowering when you think about it. Your personal account, your habits, your family's health, these are the most powerful diagnostic tools there are. You hold the critical pieces to your own puzzle.
So, as we wrap this up, think about your own sleep for a minute. If you were the lead detective on your own case, what patterns would you see? What clues does your own story hold?
Thank you for watching the Sleep to Dream Analytics Explainer video. We hope you sleep well and dream easy.